Hello and welcome to The Hop, a podcast designed to help business owners and marketers navigate the ever-changing landscape of digital marketing. I'm your host, Matt Taylor Farrington, and the owner of Purple Bunny Marketing, and today I'm joined by Kira from River 949 Radio.
Hello, how are you?
Did I get an extra 9 in there or not?
Oh, I don't know. It's too early in the year.
Have an extra 9. So today we're going to be talking about kind of what's happening in the landscape of radio in 2024. Is there any changes? Is there things that business owners or marketers may not be aware of, sort of thing?
Perfect.
So, cool. All right, well, let's kick it off with what is trending in 2024 for radio? What are you seeing? What's happening?
I think the biggest thing that's actually coming about is the digital radio.
Yep.
So for River 949 and ARN, we have iHeartRadio.
Yep.
So I see a lot of radio networks, both here and overseas, pushing their streaming platforms quite heavily.
Yep.
And that's due to the fact that we're not always, in an FM band area. It can be sometimes tricky in your commute to get standard radio, or maybe it's a little bit patchy.
Yep.
Or that you're going to be outside of that area. So they just go straight for iHeartRadio.
Yep.
Or whatever their streaming platform
their preferred streaming is. Yeah.
So for advertisers, the big thing, I suppose, this year is investigating that and where that audience will get you. Because the really amazing thing about it is that you can actually geo-target. So similar to what you would do with your clients' advertising when it comes to social media.
Or digital TV or any of those types of things.
Any of those types of things. Digital has that ability to geo-target.
Yep.
So if you can imagine, you're driving around in a Brisbane, you're getting delivered particular messages geo-targeted to that area.
Yeah.
But then you come into Ipswich and then all of a sudden you're being targeted by Ipswich advertising.
Yes.
So it's really quite personalised.
Yep.
And it's getting a little bit more clever as time goes on. And I think marketers in general can really harness that particular advertising platform.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden you can turn around and literally do, hey, you're in the middle of Brisbane right now and it's lunchtime.
Yes. And tailor a specific message to them, and kind of fuel into that what's happening,
Yeah, absolutely.
Or what they're in at the moment,
Yeah, and I mean, it can be anything from, you specific call to action messaging, you're in Brisbane and it's lunchtime. Are you hungry?
Yes.
That type of, short-term messaging.
Yep.
Or it could be something more specific along the lines of, you're in Brisbane and you've got a branch in Brisbane.
Yes.
You are trying to target and push people towards there, and then when they come to Ipswich, you're trying to push them to the Ipswich location.
Correct.
So that's what I mean by get clever about your marketing and get clever about your messaging, because you can actually do it really effectively.
And I think consumers these days expect it now, understand it, and they don't want to just hear the generic ad anymore. They want something that's tailored and specific to them, which I think is why social media has done such a great job at what it does.
Absolutely.
Because it can deliver a tailored message, and now you can do that with digital radio.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still do it with traditional radio, but digital radio just makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And targeted.
I think it's just because of the fact that, all of a sudden you've got this device that tells you exactly where you are, rather than turning around and saying...
And everything else.
Exactly. So why not utilise it? Why not utilise the technology if you're already doing it with your social media?
Yes.
Piggyback.
Agreed. 100%. All right. Is there any new formats or any new interactive radio? I know radio is always changing like everything else, and you guys are always trying new things with your audiences. Is there something that you're seeing or something that we're going to see in 2024 that businesses could potentially get on board with or support or sponsor, or how can they benefit from that as well?
From a radio perspective, I think it's just content that keeps listeners engaged.
Yes.
Sometimes advertisers can jump on with that, be involved in part of that.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's really about that entertainment value.
Yep.
Rather than being something that is sponsorable.
Yes.
But in saying that, if you wanted to give away prizes, if you wanted to be part of a major station giveaway,
yes,
then absolutely, that's the type of thing that's really going to entrench your business as part of a local, established, well-known brand.
Yeah.
Obviously
Agreed.
it's backed up with all of your other advertising, but it's a way to elevate your advertising.
Agreed. I think the days of just putting an ad up and hoping, I mean, ads do work and it is helpful, but just relying on that solely and not having peak periods or times, and understanding that radio stations go into survey periods, and during those times they want to get the best results they can, obviously, for surveys, and
Absolutely.
they're more approachable during those times, or not that they're not approachable any other time, but they're more open, I guess, to giving you more during those times to kind of leverage and run campaigns.
Yeah.
Or campaigns that you traditionally wouldn't run, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And you bang on station giveaways and activations that are clever and interactive and get people engaged, is a great way to kind of tag your brand and engage, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do that with some of our mutual clients that we work with quite regularly. And I know from the past, having some of those interactive chats with people like, Marnie and Campo during breakfast, who have quite the following, them interviewing you is kind of giving you that trust that they believe what you're selling, what you're talking about, so it helps as well. Yeah, definitely.
100%. It's about that integration, because everybody turns around and goes, oh, it's a commercial, and it's an interruption to your day.
Yes.
Whereas, like you said, Money and Campo speak, people have a tendency to listen, which is why things like live reads work really well.
100%.
So, don't discount the fact that, just because you're advertising on a station and you're doing your 30-second commercials, don't discount the fact that you can turn around and go, actually, you know what, I really need something to elevate me in the month of June because it's a quiet period.
Yes.
That's the time to do it. Not when you're really busy, not during your peak period. You want to do it in quiet period. So, now's the time of year. Look at your marketing plan. Look at your sales data from the year past.
Yep.
And actually go, how do I elevate myself this year? Because that's the main thing that we're focusing on, is how do I elevate my clients this year?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, with those giveaways and those types of things, they're definitely a way to kind of own a station during those times. So if you want your brand heard during those quiet times, things like that, I know from past with different companies that I've worked with, they've changed the name to them FM and whatever, or been nicknamed that because it's just like that's what it sounds like.
Yes.
And it is, but it's a great way to get that brand recognition out there and kind of grow the business. So definitely. All right. And so are we going to see any changes to programming in 2024? I know there's been some shake-ups down south in different radio, and all those sorts of different areas. But not just that, but with the change of digital and all the different things that are happening, are we going to see more changes in the way the programming is delivered and what's delivered in this area? Obviously, River's got a very big focus on being local, and they do that very well. But are we going to see any changes in that programming space?
Look, locally here at River, we're not planning on making any changes. Like, this year's locked and loaded, and we're ready to, make this year a fantastic year.
Yes.
I think each of the announcers have certain criteria that they're trying to, again, elevate. Seems to be the key word of the day.
Yes.
But they're looking at how they can grow themselves and then grow their audience for their particular show.
Yes.
So they'll be doing some different things, trying new bits and pieces. And again, it comes back to their own creative content, how they're going to approach that. But in terms of lineup and the people and the personalities that you'll see, I don't see any changes here locally at this station at all. I think from a network perspective, we've already seen a change with Kyle and Jackie O. They've now doing the Sydney and the Melbourne
show
audiences for breakfast, and then their shows are actually being syndicated as later on in the day, evening shows in various places, which works really great for particular markets, because they don't mind that information comes later, because it's a different audience, it's a different movement, they're just different
And
people.
they're just listening at a different time, and they're kind of happy to be caught up on what that might be.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to that entertainment value, because that's the Kyle and Jackie O show. It is entertainment.
Yes.
You know, and they get great guests come along, and they have wonderful banter between themselves, and they talk about some really
weird stuff.
Left of centre stuff that we don't do.
Correct.
But it works for them, and I think that's the beautiful part about it, is those personalities go, this is what we do, and the audiences tune into what they love.
Correct.
So, you know, if you're the client that you're working with, or the you know, the business that you have, is aligned with that type of stuff, jump on board. You know, align yourself with a personality, because it's really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we talked about earlier in the social media podcast, we talked about micro-influencers and how they're expanding and what's changing there. But I think in the radio landscape, when people are listening, piggybacking yourself to one of those talent that are on air, that have that following, is a great way, because people are tuning in every day to listen to them. They trust them to give them the information throughout their morning about what's happening in the world, what's going on. You know, they're sitting in traffic arguing and carrying on it. The morons in front of them on the road that can't drive. I'll shamelessly plug our driving school if you need help, Ace Driving School. But it's... I just think there's a lot of value there and trust from the audience around those people. And so I think people who are in those influential positions, businesses need to get better at engaging with them and how they can do that. And I know the talent are open to opportunities. I know there's got to be careful, and there's got to be negotiated contracts and stuff, but there's also opportunities where you can engage with the radio talent to become, you know, affiliated with your business in some form and work things through like that. And then there's opportunities through radio and stuff like that. So
100%.
All right. And I think we've kind of answered this question, kind of not. But would you be saying that people should be using digital radio now, getting started, getting the jump and just doing it and biting the bullet?
100%. Because now's the time. But in 6 months' time, there might not be availability of, you know, again, it comes down to how much availability is there, how many people are actually listening, so therefore how many times can we service your message.
Correct.
So there's only a limited amount of
impressions available to deliver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are already going, actually, that's something we need to do. And as marketers ourselves, we're already recognising that that's something that our clients need to do. So we're already introducing that as part of campaigns and programs that are rolling out across the year. But the other thing that I'd probably touch on when it comes to digital, and it comes back to what we were just talking about when it comes to, you know, that talent, those micro-influencers, you need to be thinking about, well, hang on, I've got a beauty service and I am in the Sydney market, and Jackie is a great personality. She has wonderful on-camera and on-air presence. Huge following. Why not engage with somebody and say, how do I engage with Jackie to do some social media opportunities where we do videos, and then that gets shared on the KISS brand, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're reaching different audiences. We do it here at River. We have Marnie from our breakfast team. And Marnie is a massive influencer when it comes to, you know, self-care, empowerment, women, families, mums, all of that sort of stuff. So when it comes to giving yourself a little bit of self-love, why not turn around and showcase the self-love that your business offers mums and women by, you know, getting money to come in and be videoed having and enjoying one of your services. It's a great way to actually engage, and then all of a sudden, you know, that's shared then on your socials, the station socials, lots of engagement and lots of views. So that's probably the two things that I'd take away from digital advertising. And
I think you've nailed the what's the saying?
The nail on the head.
The nail on the head. I'll get it out eventually. Not enough coffee, all right. But you know, and we talked about it in podcast 1, I think, when we talked about radio and how radio and digital works together, and that's a prime example of how you put your radio and your digital together, because you're going to get that on-air impacts with the audience.
Yep.
But then the audience are going to get followed up by seeing it on social media, whether it's on Marnie's page, whether it's on, you know, River's page, whether it's on the client's page themselves, and see that talent and associate that.
Exactly.
And that just creates a really strong brand connection and identity there.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important that people understand and leverage as many opportunities as they can in that space. So
Exactly.
and I think it's become more affordable and attainable now, which we were talking about earlier, with micro influencers now.
Yeah.
And they're more trusted than, and we made the joke in the previous podcast about, you know, the likes of Kim Kardashian, where you're paying millions of dollars for a post versus, you know, you're probably paying a couple $100s for someone to do a post as a micro influencer. And I think you get more value at your local level out of a micro influencer than you would out of paying the likes of Kim Kardashian for a post.
That's exactly it. Because,
So, yeah.
you know, all of a sudden it's this beautiful local... I mean, again, it's what we do best. It's
Yep.
localized content. It's local
Perfect.
people.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
Yes, 100%. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing for 2024 is that I think everyone's kind of just blasé through with digital, but I think now you've got, whether it's your social media, whether it's your digital radio, your digital TV, everything.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be starting to focus in that digital space and looking at how can we get better, how can we create some synergy between all of these things and make them work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. You
Perfect.
can get out of the hot seat soon.
Oh, thanks.
But thank you for coming along. Thanks for talking about it and sharing your insights. It's always a bit of a laugh with you. So
Thanks.
you're welcome. So make sure you tune into The Hop to keep up to date with all the changes happening in the digital landscape, and we'll catch you on the next episode.